Hello, my name is Michael Glenn. In this episode of the Dojo Show, we're studying the kata Hatto. In this kata, we're doing an EI, which is a quick draw, so we need to release the sword from the saya. I'm going to show several ways to do that in this episode of the Dojo Show. So I'm going to draw this way towards his temple. Okay, this is an EI move. You have to draw quickly, right? So here towards his temple. Okay, and then the next move is down to the hands. So here to the temple, down to the hands. Okay. So I'm trying to be gentle because this kind of hurts. But this is the basic form of this kata. And I'll let you guys try it out. What we're going to focus on tonight is some of this EI that is being done with this. But try it first and then we'll go from there. I want to step out to the side so I have the right range. And then as I do my draw, the tip is coming to Kasumi here. Okay, so you can imagine if I really cut through there, what that's going to do, right? It would kind of suck. So again, I'm out here to the side, drawing to Kasumi. Okay, this is the first move. And so when you're doing EI, it starts before the sword ever gets out of the sheath, right? In a well-made sword, the habaki here wedges into the saya. The opening of the saya is called a Koiguchi, which means carp's mouth. So it kind of has the shape of the mouth of a carp, right? And the when you're breaking this seal here with the habaki and the koiguchi, it's called koiguchi wo kiru, which means cutting the carp's mouth. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to do that. The one that you see in most sword schools is done with the thumb. And it's either done with the thumb on top, like this, on top to the side, and you push, right? Or if you want to be more hidden, you put it down below and push. Okay? So this one on the top is more obvious, and the guy can see you doing that, and he knows you're about to draw, right? This one down here is a little less obvious. It's harder for him to see what's happening from his angle, right? So this one up here, he might catch that. He might see that. Both are okay, though. Both are excellent. They work well. If you put the thumb straight on top, there's danger of slicing your thumb. So usually it's best to have it on top to the side. Okay, so it's not right above the blade when you draw out. Okay. So when I'm against my opponent here, so the first thing, as I'm stepping here, I'm breaking that seal and turning the saya. Okay, so that part's already done. Okay. So again, I break the seal and turn the saya. Now I'm going to do, I think it's called hayabiki, I'm probably misremembering, where you pull the saya back and cut. Okay. So that all happens very quick, right? It's all one move. Once more. Okay, so it's a pretty quick move. Let's go this way. So I'm trying to even do it slower because this metal blade is dangerous up around his face, right? So you see my distance here, okay? You guys understand? So to start with, you probably all have done this before though. Try this breaking of this seal, rotating the blade, pulling the saya back to get your draw. Okay? And experiment with on top and also experiment with below here to hide it. Okay? As Jesse cuts, this part's already happened. Okay. One more. So this part's already happened here, and then I just pull the saya to do that. Okay. So he goes there. Go ahead and act like I'm cutting. So he's gonna want to get away from that, right? And so then that leaves all this open for me, right? Jesse's not gonna want to stay there for that. Stay very still. So when this makes contact with the side of the head, I'm doing it with the tip, and then I'm gonna be slicing through. Yeah, so that just ends up sitting out there ready for me to do the next piece. Yeah, so if you could imagine that draw very quickly across the eyes, right? If the tip's actually cutting, he's going to be in big trouble. Okay, so we're not really doing that because it's too dangerous, but that's the idea. Okay, so it would probably make the guy, when he gets hit across the face there, at least it's going to make him turn away. Okay, at the very least. Yeah, the thumb part happens as you step. So you evade and it's already out. So I'm pulling my hand away so you can see it. It's already part way out here, right? So if I do this with the thumb, right, I can put it way out if I want. Right? You usually don't want it out that far, but it's already out here. So then when you draw, now you're just pulling the saya back. We're going to look at a different aspect of this Koiguchi wokiru. There's many versions of these. Some you'll see with normal sword schools, some I've only seen sensei teach. So this next one is done this way with both fingers. Okay? And in this one, the idea is that you're actually trying to protect this guy or protect anyone from getting cut with your sword. Okay, so you're holding it in your saya with both fingers. Okay, so as James cuts down here, you see I'm here. Okay, so I'm not drawing this time, right? I'm receiving here. I'm using my suka to trap. I thought it was his arm. So you see my suka in here, in between the hands. So when I pull this to me, this is where it split. So when I pull this to me, you see what happens to his arm and the sword. Okay. So as he comes in here, right, I'm stepping and I can use that to strike. Okay. And then use that to knock him down. So I've decided I didn't want to draw. I didn't want the sword to cut. I'm trying to protect him, protect everybody. Right. So I do it without drawing. And that's this grip here. Okay, so the thumb on top, the index finger on the bottom, holding it into the saya, so it's not going to come out. So think about using this to strike. You can strike under, you can strike alongside this way, you can strike down that way. So use the kashira to strike. When I'm pulling this out of the saya, I don't want the sharp edge to grind up against the top of the saya here. So one thing you do when you draw is you pull the back edge up against the other side of your saya. And one trick that I've seen is you actually use your fingers here to hold it. So you guys can see my fingers here, they're pinching the back of the blade. Okay. So after this comes out, I'm pinching the back of the blade here, and then when it gets to this point, I let it free. Okay? So my fingers are sliding down the blade here, and then they let it free. Okay? Because when you're drawing the blade from the saya, the sharp end of the sword tends to cut into the top of the saya, and it slows it down. You want it to come out unimpeded, right? And so you keep the back edge of the blade up against the bottom of the saya, so that it comes out unimpeded. When you're in the heat of trying to draw your blade, there's a tendency to crank on it like this, and then the blade is now grinding up against the saya. Okay, and that will slow down my draw, and also potentially be dangerous to my hand, because if I'm holding this and it cuts through the saya, I can cut into my hand. Sensei shows this one with the index finger, right? So I have the index finger here and I push it out like that. Okay, this is kind of to hide it from your opponent. It also has the advantage of not having your thumb be in danger of being cut. Okay, so it's just the index finger on the bottom and you push out like this. Okay, so when I'm pushing out like that, it's easy for me now to rotate my fingers here to pinch the blade and allow it to release. Does that make sense? So I'm pinching the spine of the blade, right? I push it out, I pinch the spine of the blade, and this lets this release, lets it fly free. So without the saya, right, I'm pinching the back of the blade here, and then I release it at the last instant. Okay? You guys understand? It's harder to do on bokken because they're fat. Right? On a real blade, it's skinny enough that you can run it between those fingers very elegantly. Partially a guide, it's also partially a release. There's this concept in sword fighting where you want to prevent from killing at all costs, right? And so you only release the blade to do its killing at the last instant. And so if you have this here, at this point it can still be withdrawn into your saya, and it doesn't have to kill. Right? But once it's released, then it's done. Okay, so that at that point there may be a life being taken. Okay, this underhand draw like that. Yeah. So. Well, when you're going for your draw here, you do this underhand draw like this. So you see here when it's pinched, it comes out, and I'm still got a hold of my blade, right? I don't even have the saya anymore, and I got a hold of the blade, okay? It just gives you that little extra piece of control. There's another way that you see when the saya is either in the belt or out like this. You place the whole hand up against the tsuba, and then you just flex. Okay, so from here I just make a fist and I flex, and you guys can't see that from here, but see what that did, right? It released the seal there of the habaki. Okay, so right now this is sealed in the saya, right? I just place my fist here and then I flex, and now it's opened it up. Okay, so what that does for you is when you're here, it's very small movement, very hidden movement. You just do this little flex and the saya is already free to go. So this time I'm striking up with the saya here and then down that way. So I'm striking up in here. Okay, then I take it out and cut that way. I got this out of my belt. Maybe I just picked it up off the ground or off the table, right? So I strike up with my saya and then down with the blade. So I'm striking up under here and then down. I strike up with the saya. I missed, but you're hitting under the kote there, right? And then you draw this in this reverse grip to strike kote. Okay? And again here, when I'm striking kote, I'm going for this downward pressure. So my saya strikes up under kote. Okay? Then I draw the blade out and come down. Striking there, right? And then here is down. Okay, I can still pressure him down here just like we were doing, okay? So without James, I'm simply breaking the seal here with my fist, right? And then as I evade, I'm striking up into his kote, and then this draws around and down onto kote. So striking up under kote and then down. So again, it's just this fist here that breaks that seal. See how it opened it up there? It's your hand up against the tsuba and the pressure opens it up, right? So here, right, I open that up. See this grip? So I'm striking up under kote and then down here, okay? So I break this seal here, right? And this comes out this way, so it can come in that way. And then here I can bring my other hand onto it if I need to press. Yeah, so I have it in this kind of weird grip here, but it can still, you can still cut with it. So the saya is striking up under kote, okay? And then I take the sword and draw here to cut down. So when you're doing a one-handed draw like this, you use this fist here to break the seal on the habaki, okay? So we've been talking about tonight various ways of cutting the carp's mouth here, which is releasing the sword from the saya. Okay, there's so many ways to do this. One of the ones that Soke uses, it doesn't look like what you'd see in any other sword school. So I'm going to talk about that one next. So here, right, I use my thumb to bring this up this way. Okay, you see what's happened here. So you see what's happened. So I can strike there with the tsuba. One of the things Soke does with this is he uses his thumb on the tsuba here to pull it out. And then as it comes up, he grips it from the back of the blade. Okay? You won't see this in other sword schools too much. Okay. Here I'm drawing with my thumb, okay? And then that tsuba is going to strike. Okay? So the idea here is I'm hooking with my thumb, okay? So I hook with my thumb to pull the blade out like this. So my sword is up against his arm, right? And the tsuba is at his temple. Okay, so that tsuba strikes there. So this is lifting up this way. Okay, and so then when you get it out of the saya, you can hold it pretty firmly here. Okay. So this can slice up there, you can use it to cut there. So you see where my tsuba is, it's striking there in the temple. Okay. So I'm on his hands here. So this is on the hands and my tsuba is going to be used to attack. So here, there's the temple. Then you can use this up underneath and cut him on the way down. Yeah. So after you've drawn out here, you're kind of cupping your tsuba and your blade, right? And then the hand can control the other side, and it becomes more like a hambo at that point until it stabs. So this comes out this way, right? And then you strike in there, okay? So here, you see where the tsuba is in his face, okay? He gave up, so I was able to pick up his sword very easily. So here, okay, see where this is just in the space? Then I can use this hand on the back of the blade, like that, right? And this one can strike. I can cut as he falls, right? These are all possibilities in this kind of movement. So Sensei says that when you do these kind of draws, he said as ninjas, we're not just drawing the sword, we're releasing it into the mist. Okay, so to have that kind of feeling to release the sword into the mist, it has to be a little loose, okay? You have to have some freedom, some play in the movement there. When I watch Soke do this, he likes to do it with different fingers. I've seen him do it with the pinky, okay, to come out like this, okay? So we're gonna start with the thumb, and the thumb picks it up underneath here, and then you have it like that, okay? So here, you see how that is, yeah. And then I can use this to slice if I want, right? It's good to get hit sometimes. That means you're playing it close in practice, right? You want to have that feeling where it's that close every time, okay? So sometimes if you never get hit, you're not learning, and sometimes you should get hit. We're using wooden swords, so you're not going to die, right? If you're in real combat, obviously against a real sword, you don't want to get hit. But this is how you train to keep it close, okay? So here. Okay, so this blade is going to be up against his hand, and then I punch the tsuba into his temple, okay? And that can cut across, can cut back as he's falling. Yep, lots of options. So you're hooking here with your thumb and drawing this out. And then you punch with the tsuba. So here I pull this up like this, right? This strikes here, and then this can cut. You can do a variety of cuts depending on where he's at. So once more, so this comes up here, right? I could turn it this way and cut. Yeah, so whatever target is available to you, I'm here again. So I'm here. There's lots of targets that are available to me. Yeah. So from this position, I can cut around and down. I can cut up and through, right? I can cut across. I could slice down to the leg. Lots of possibilities, right? Michael, when you first do your evasion, so when you first do your evasion, see how where I'm at? I'm letting you cut your fingers on my blade, right? And then I can strike in there. So that kind of distance, you know, not too far. Like I said earlier, don't be afraid to get hit. So you're here. You see, I bring this up into the space and then rotate, right? And then that's going to drive through the body. So it's pretty natural with that kind of distance relationship. When you're drawing like this, right, the pivot point on the sword has changed now from what it normally is, okay? So then it turns into more tsurugi style feeling. So we've been doing a lot of tsurugi lately, and the tsurugi does all these kind of pivots like this, right? But when you hold the sword like this, when you've drawn like that, this sword now has a different pivot point. So it's not the same as a tsurugi. But if I'm holding it this way, the pivot point has changed. So yeah, it's very natural for it now to drive into the guy. So in this one, instead of the thumb here, I'm going to use the pinky. Okay. So here I use the pinky. You see what's happened. Okay, so I'm striking with the back of the blade there. I'm going to hook with my pinky from underneath. Okay, just before I was hooking with the thumb underneath. Now I'm going to hook with the pinky underneath. Okay. So as Jesse draws here, I hook with the pinky, shoot that up into the space there. Okay. So in this one, right, I'm going to draw out and strike underneath. Okay. So I'm hooking with my pinky here. So that strikes underneath there. And then this turns into a stab. Okay, I'm not really doing it, but it would be stabbing through. And that can go on either side. Yeah. This can stab through here, right? And then I can cut into the body. So that time my pinky didn't get under the tsuba, but my palm did. So I've seen Soke do it like that too. Your palm can push the blade out of the saya as well, right? You just, in the heat of the moment, you take what you can get there. Once more. So here. So it's just the back of the blade, right? I'm not swinging it that hard, but this whipping action that it has creates that effect. When you draw out here, you're hooking the tsuba with your own pinky, and then allowing this to flip, and then the back of the blade is striking his arms. Okay, it can be done very strongly. So that's how strong it can be, okay? And then once I'm in this position, this can turn into a cut, okay? So you can cut with this reverse grip. It can cut like that or like that. Soke says that you should do it with any of the fingers. Play with these different grip changes. Yeah. So I'm showing it with the pinky now, but it could be a different finger. You just have to, the thing you have to be cautious with all of these is don't accidentally grab your blade, because then you'll cut yourself. Okay? So when you're doing any of these, you never want to grab all the way around your blade, because then you'll end up slicing the crap out of your hand. So as long as you're grabbing on the back of the blade, it's cool. Right? So these have their own hazards like that. So you don't want to, in the heat of the battle, accidentally do this. Because now if I try to do anything with pressure here, I'm going to cut my own hand. Okay. So you guys understand, I'm hooking with the pinky. This flips into the space, and it's, as it flips, it's striking. Okay. And then after you strike, it could then turn into a thrust or some kind of cut. You could strike with the suka. Sometimes you don't want to engage too much, right? So as his cut comes in, you just strike here and you get out. So I haven't engaged him too much, right? Right, but maybe I don't want to fight with him. Maybe I just want to clear on by, right? So in that case, you know, you do some kind of strike here, right? And you see I got some space, right? And that gives me a chance to throw shuriken, metsubushi, or just to run away. You know, you might be on a mission and you don't really want to deal with this guy, so you just blow by him.